Hello, welcome to Underlords Universe. I'm Brian. This is a friend of mine here, Travis, and I'm part of a creative thing called Underlords of the Overworld. A little bit on that at the very end if you stick around. But what we do basically here is we convene to talk about the stuff that inspires us to be creative and to continue to listen to and follow the bands that we've listened to and followed all our lives. In this case, today we are discussing the brand new Dream Theater live album and Blu-ray set. And Travis and I have we're both longtime Dream Theater fans. We've both seen Dream Theater together and separately. In fact, we even left halfway through a Dream Theater show once. Remember that?
Oh my God. Don't
Uh,
regret it.
yeah, I know that was that's a whole other story, um, but yeah,
It was the astonishing. We should be clear about
we
that. It
should
was
be
the
yeah,
astonishing show, and
yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've seen the Dream Theater together what, a few times though, I think. Yeah.
yeah, definitely the what can I think of the images and words
Just the
anniversary
images
shows.
and words and more to it. Yeah, right. And the
Um,
astonishing to half of the astonishing show. Um,
and there was a couple where we didn't sit together, but we were at the same show. And
right.
even before we met, we had seen Ghost together
Yeah,
uh in 2012 before we knew each other. We would meet each
right.
other the next year and go, "Oh, we were both at that Madison show. Neither of us are from
Yes,
Madison." We So that's how we learned we were hardcore
right.
about Ghost, Dream Theater,
Uh,
um,
We actually met at a Fates Warning show.
Fates Warning. Yep. And
Yeah,
they're kind of I like Fates Warning a lot, but that was more of a bucket list. Got to see them at some point, and
right.
if it works out, I actually went to see Queensryche thinking Fates Warning was going to open, and that was the one show on the tour that Fates Warning was not on. It was a stupid casino show, and then I'm like, well, crap. Now I have to see Queensryche, and I I actually did end up liking it quite a bit, and I was like, okay,
You
I guess I
know,
should get some Queensryche albums.
yeah, and that of course would be a fantastic discussion for another day. And so and I got some thoughts on that, but we'll hold off on that. So the yeah, this new Dream Theater live set and you know what? I my I worked right across the hall from a French teacher for the longest time, and you'd think I would know how to pronounce 40th in French, which is what the title of this is, but I'm not even going to try because French pronunciation is extremely difficult for me. You want to
I
give it
actually
a
took
shot?
4 years of French, and I
You did.
and my niece is it's her birthday next week, and she's doing a bunch of French classes and stuff. So I bought her some French movies. So I am here to tell you I have no
Okay.
idea either.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I see. I thought you were going to like show off, but apparently not.
Uh yeah, I didn't even know that was 40th in French. I thought that
Well,
was
that's what Google's for, right?
a reference. I thought it was a reference to like quarantining. Like
No,
I
no.
was like, well, this is kind of weird. Corona was years ago, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
fine.
no, no. Yeah,
Okay,
according to Google, it is. It just means 40th, which is,
okay.
that's cool. And I just want to say, let's go through, a few things here. Like I'd like to comment a little bit about the packaging and the setup for this. I'd like to just get your take on, things like the set list, the sound, the performances, etc. But I just wanted to start off by saying, their longtime collaborator on the art, Hugh Syme. I think he did a really nice job with this one. It's a nice collage of things that represent their history. That's cool. The inside stuff is all pretty nicely done, and I'm not gonna belabor the point, but you know, it's all pretty good. Whereas I thought the last one that he did for them, I just I think that looks like a cheap knockoff bootleg type of thing.
I agree with that.
So,
Yeah, that
which
one
thi-
was.
this is like my least favorite Hugh Syme art ever of any band he's ever done. So but I'm really pleased with that. I think it's a really really nice looking set. Um,
However, when you look at the four X's, there was some controversy online. It looks like there's an extra thing behind one of the X's that doesn't match up with one of the background X's.
Maybe that's to keep it like consistent with the weird thing on Parasomnia.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the Parasomnia cover has some goofball stuff on it too. But okay. At any rate, but most obviously, if you're a Dream Theater fan like we are, it's really what's inside that matters. Now, have you both listened to and watched it, or have you just done one or the other?
I've done both, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you happen to have a surround system or not?
Okay, well, I do, but it's not up and running. So,
Okay. So I want to just make a comment. Let's just briefly address some of the stuff about the sound. Because I got a system down in my basement. I got a system up, in my living room. I was watching it upstairs in my living room, and at first it was like, "Where's John Mayung?" I He just sounds. I texted you, and you said something like, "It sounds almost as if his DI or his direct input, or miking or whatever, however they're doing it. They're probably doing a combination of miking and direct input, but it's almost like that's just completely gone, and like some like James's vocal mic is picking up
yeah.
the, it's something bizarre like that. And that's honestly how it sounded to me at first, especially that, oop, I just bumped my computer. That little bass break in Metropolis, it was like,
Yeah.
that's just bizarre sounding. Sounds the same at the beginning of Panic Attack too. And then when the whole band kicked in, it was like he just seemed just gone. So, I texted you about it and complained a little bit. And then I bring downstairs and I put it on my surround system. And I think there's something with, I don't know, my surround system with several things. Kiss Alive, the recent mix of that sounded crackly. I didn't really care for it. Some other things. I think I need to I need to ditch my system because turned off my surround and I just went straight to this just the basic sound bar on my downstairs system, and suddenly my young was there, like boom. It was just
Okay.
like it just filled the room,
Oh,
and like the mirror just sounded huge. So then the next day driving to work, I put it in my car and I put it in, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's there. So it was almost like whatever system I was listening to it on, it was like, that really made a difference, which I don't think should matter a lot, but apparently it does. And all in all, after complaining about it a little bit, I got to say I'm actually really quite happy with how it all sounds. The spacing, the panning of the
oh,
instruments, the
okay.
mix itself. Yeah, I think it does sound really good. But I don't know. What's your take?
Well, I definitely don't have that take. I mean, I guess, but that also gets to the point of if you're releasing an album that is good for one situation, but not the majority of the other situations, can you really say that's a good mix? I mean, shouldn't that be
Yeah.
something that is, now wait, this was just on the Blu-ray then that you watched, or
And
did you put the CD in and listen to it through
yeah,
surround
I
system?
actually did. I did both. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And they were both similar then as far
yeah.
as you
To,
like.
to,
Okay.
to, to me, yeah, yeah. To my ear.
So yeah, that's a problem then that it would be good in that situation, but that's not how most people are going to listen to it. They're going to listen to it like I have on my headphones, on a speaker,
Yeah.
on
Or well, earbuds. I mean,
yeah,
most people listen to stuff on just little earbuds these days, and that's to me a little bit also. I need to go back and listen to this. I have a pair of Shocks. They're bone conducting headphones. I want to
okay.
listen to it on that. I haven't yet, because I'm curious to see how John Mayon, how his bass comes through on that. But
Wow.
it's hard these days, I think, because of the huge variance of systems. When we
Yeah,
were, when we were 15 years old, you had stereo systems, and they were either good or they were bad, and it was like,
right.
you can kind
Yeah.
of it up to you have a cheap system or something. But um,
So,
yeah,
it sounds, especially when it comes to Metropolis, it did make me think of the When Dream and Day Reunite album done as an official bootleg.
hmm,
You're familiar, right?
yeah, got it.
One of my absolute favorite sort of releases of any band, and in almost arguably that's kind of what turned me into a super fan was I was already a fan, but when that came out, I was like, wow, what a weird thing. Their least popular album with a vocalist that a lot of people criticize. I personally love Charlie Dominici,
Hmm.
R.I.P. And they redo it with their current vocalist, James Labrie, which I'm a huge fan of. And they invite Charlie Dominici in for the encores with Derek Sherinian too, for one. And I'm just like, that is one of the coolest gimmicks, so to speak. I don't
Yeah.
mean that in a negative sense. And so I couldn't wait to order that to listen to it. I think I got that. I listened to that before I got the actual studio album When Dream and Day Unite. Oh, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But the commentary for the DVD is fascinating. And at one point, when the bass part in Metropolis, Mike Portnoy, he goes, "Oh, your tone is really," he says something like it's really off, or expresses kind of a negative thought about it. He goes, and I do remember he said, "It sounds like you got too much wet on there."
Mhm.
And John Mayung goes, "I like it that way. Makes it easier to play." And then the message boards
Oh,
erupted. They're just like, "Oh, this John Mayung stood up to Mike Portnoy, and Mike Portnoy's nitpicky,"
so
and I just
if I'm hearing you, because okay, and some a similar thought had crossed my mind in terms of like that small segment of Metropolis is that that tone from a tonal perspective, it's not as if his bass sounds like that throughout every song. It's like he's kicked something on there, in effect, pedal wise, whatever. Um, if something's wet, it means it's got effects on it as opposed to dry. So that does actually make sense that he's going for that kind of weird sound. Um, and maybe I just prefer it like not there. And
yeah.
John does. So, it's a kind of a preference thing, apparently.
Yeah, and I mean, it was also interesting that he goes, yeah, it makes it easier because everybody's
Right.
just like, oh, this guy, he practices like a quote from I can't remember who it was, somebody in the band. He's the only guy I know that actually warms down.
Oh,
So after a show, he
yeah.
continues playing to warm down, and then he's just like, nah, I like it because it's easier. It goes against the stereotype of like he is the most disciplined person and like
Which of
he's the one
course, I
like,
mean, he is, but
well,
yeah,
yeah,
it goes
yeah.
against, yeah, yeah. But there's actually, you know, I can see where that's coming from. So, what do you think about the set list, not just in terms of the songs, which let's just go ahead and let's just do a little bit on the track listing here, okay? Um, Ooh, my light is there we go. So the set list is it's Metropolis Part One, and then Overture 1928, Strange Deja Vu, The Mirror, Panic Attack, Barstool
Should
Warrior.
Do you want to just kind of stop it like in segments and discuss that?
I do want
Because,
to come
or do you
back
want to?
to it. Yeah, I just want to run through the
Okay,
set list first.
gotcha.
Hollow Years, Constant Motion, As I Am. Then they take the break. Then there's this orchestral overture type of thing into Night Terror, which when this was recorded, which was back in like November of last year, the new album hadn't been released yet. So that was, playing a new song. Then Under Their Glass Moon, This is the Life, Vacant, Stream of Consciousness, Octavarium, Home, Spirit Carries On, Pull Me Under. And so I did the count on this. They played, um, hang on, I got my notes here. They play four songs from Scenes from a Memory, three from Images and Words, three from Train of Thought, two from Octavarium, and then other albums are represented by one song with these exceptions. There's nothing from When Dream and Day Unite, nothing from 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, nothing from Black Clouds and Silver Linings, nothing from the self-titled album, nothing from The Astonishing,
Thank God.
thankfully, and nothing from A View from the Top of the World. So now, obviously, it's going to be a difficult time to put a totally comprehensive set list that hits every single album and everything and satisfies everybody. But to the extent that it does cover their career, what do you think of the set list as a whole? And then let's go into individual songs after that.
In general, it was an okay set list. And I have little quibbles here and there. And I hate to admit it, but Octavarium was probably necessary. I have a friend in the Chicago area. he kept posting. He's just like, I got a feeling they're going to play Octavarium, and and then when I can't remember if he saw the set list earlier when he went and saw them and was surprised. He's like, they played it. Oh my god! And I would prefer they didn't play that for personal preferences, but it does make sense that they did so that they could have one epic, one that hasn't been played in quite a while.
Hmm.
Um, so that said, in general, I think the set list was pretty okay.
Yeah. Okay. I can see where you're coming with that. I give it a thumbs up. I have some small quibbles here and there myself. Like for example, I'm not a constant motion fan. I would
Oh,
yeah, I would
I no.
I mean I can deal with it. It's not that I hate it or anything, but there's songs I'd pick over that for sure. But
That's one of those songs that I don't think is very representative of Dream Theater, but it just feels freaking good to me. It's like comfort food. And people say that's their Metallica rip-off song, or not necessarily rip-off, but that's their attempt at making a Metallica song or whatever. And I'm not even a huge fan of Metallica. So, I mean, I can see that, but I love that song. I love the melodies. I love the lyrics too. I actually think that, and maybe it's because I feel like in some respects, I kind of have OCD, which is kind of it's a popular thing for people to say nowadays, like, oh, I'm so OCD because I organize something. And it's different than that. So kind of felt like Mike was speaking to me about that. And it's I don't know. I do love that song. I got thoughts about that if we want to come back to when we speak
so
about the
that
performance.
well, that I think that just gets to the whole point that and they know this, everybody knows this. If you're still watching this, you know it. You can't please every fan. That's just not gonna happen. So
And I will say, I mean, I kind of have, a variety of unpopular opinions, but I did see them on this last tour, sort of last minute because it wasn't selling well, and they put tickets on sale, and I go, okay, fine, I'll go. And but they played a rite of passage, which I think is I've never seen on any message boards anybody saying like, "Oh God, I love that song" or whatever. It's actually, I think it's probably my favorite song off of Black Clouds.
I love
So
Red.
when they played that, I was like, "Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that's great."
Yeah, I agree. I actually love that song. So we're kind of doing kind of just naturally segueing into what I wanted to do, which was to kind of like say, like, okay, what were the high points? What were the low points? In a set list where that you generally, can accept a set list that you generally like. Um, in a band that's got such a deep catalog where you're not really going to nitpick it or complain it too much. Like I said, constant motion, I could kind of have done with it. This is going to be an unpopular opinion too. I kind of feel like they've overdone The Spirit Carries On. I like the song. Don't get me wrong. As a matter of fact,
Um,
I actually like the song a lot, but it's just kind of like let's find another way to end the show.
but
Uh,
they had to play it. They had to play it
well,
though.
that gets
Like,
into that kind of it's kind of like become their rock and roll all night. It's like can Kiss really go out
yeah,
without playing rock and roll all night? You know,
no.
or I'm not equating the songs in terms of their styles or anything like that, but it's just it has become a staple. And okay, but now if you ask me like, okay, if they said, hey, you put together a set list for would I put Spirit Carries On in it? Yeah, I probably would because I wouldn't be putting the set list together entirely for me. And that's what Mike Portnoy is doing. He's thinking about the fans and etc. And I think because my dog has not been able to go out because of blizzard conditions, I think that she just soiled my carpet.
Oh,
I'll take care of it later. It's actually not on the, yeah, I'll deal with it. Okay.
looking for my dog. Not that he
Yeah.
has
Um,
accidents, but
so, at this point, if there's a Dream Theater fan that's out there, they probably switched this off because they're like, these guys are idiots. But okay. So
here, can I say about A Spirit Carries
go
On?
ahead.
I wish in a perfect world, in my perfect world, if they wanted to have a ballady type of song, a sing-along song, the song that I would choose, um, if I could change everybody's mind and be unified and be like, oh, this is the one. My preference is Along for the Ride. I think Along for the Ride is in the same vein as Spirit Carries On. I think it's a much better song. I think it's a oh man, Jordan's solo at the end. Anyway, that would be the one I would say, with the phones out. But everybody's just sort of like, yeah, that's fine. But in my perfect world, that would be the let's all come together. It's this beautiful type of song.
The interesting point. I would never have picked that one necessarily, but I do. I like the song though. Yeah, I'm just looking at the set list here. I do think the way they opened the show was awesome. I
Yes,
think that
100%.
doing Metropolis into Overture 1928, into Strange Deja Vu, into The Mirror, it's like, damn. That's like boom, boom,
They
boom, boom. That
that's another thing. I feel like they had to do it that way because, they had to open with Metropolis and they had to close with Pull Me Under.
And I think it's definitely worth watching the Blu-ray of this because that kind of the curtain with the stuff with the light kind of going on with the was his dream theater. That was a really cool effect, I thought, the way they
Yeah,
opened the show. Which, by the way, I think from a visual standpoint, I think the filming of it is awesome because it's not like this constant, like with Iron Maiden
yeah,
DVDs and stuff, it's like, every split second you get this, and it's like, God, slow down. This, I
yeah,
think, is really nicely filmed. You get a lot of nice wide shots. You get, and it looks really good and it's colorful. Really nice to watch. Um, what did you think about Mike Portnoy's performance of Mangini era songs? Barstool Warrior and This Is the Life.
well, performance was fine.
Mhm.
The Barstool Warrior, I wish they would have chosen something different. I like that song, but it's okay. Here's the thing. I don't have much of an opinion on his drum performance. You know
Mhm.
what I have an opinion on
Hmm.
is his Mickey Mouse vocals. And if I can go back just a little bit, um, well, not a little bit, I guess to the beginning. Metropolis. I noticed he didn't use the backup vocals, where it goes like a scene from a memory. He didn't go scene from a memory. He just didn't do that. And sorry, I'm getting way off of what you said, but it does relate. I swear to you. And it reminded me of the live scenes from New York where Kevin Shirley actually edited that out without Mike's input. He said so on the commentary, and I like it quite a bit better. And then this time he just didn't sing it at all. Um, then later with Strange Deja Vu, Mike introduces the Mickey Mouse vocals. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. And when I heard that, it was so subtle, at least from my speaker, that that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You get that melody. It's still a live performance instead of like pumping in the, pre-recorded vocals or whatever. So that was cool. But then you hear it from a different one, or maybe it's not even that song, but on This Is the Life, he does the Mickey Mouse vocals. He does that on Panic Attack as well. And it really starts to become, at least to my ears, very, very apparent and distracting that he's just in the back there harmonizing with a kind of shitty falsetto.
He's doing that on This Is the Life?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what part. But yeah, he does that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that and watch it again because I'm not sure yeah. I'll have to go back and check it out again. Um I thought it was darn near impossible for them to play a set without doing some songs from the Mangini era. I mean, you think about this. He was in the band with Jordan Rudess. Those two guys were in Dream Theater together for 10 years, and then he was out for what, 13?
Yeah,
So he was out of the band longer than he was in the band with Jordan.
yeah, yeah,
Just as a time just a way to mark the time on it. And they did what 5 albums, and it's like they can't just ignore all that. And Mike himself said that,
Yeah.
and so I was really interested in seeing which songs that they would play, and I thought that those songs sounded pretty natural. Like it was just like, yeah, I mean, you could tell it wasn't Mangini playing it, but it just felt natural to me anyway. I actually really liked Mike's performances on those songs. Um, so the one thing that I really could have done without is the whole like orchestral overture thing that opens the second set. It's like a little lengthy. I mean, I get what they're trying to aim for, but I've kind of also gotten over the whole use of dramatic, like using dramatic orchestral introductions for things. It's kind of like, eh, maybe there's another way to do this. But I mean, it's good, it's well done, but I thought they could have just maybe done something different there.
I
Um,
agree.
what now let's address James's vocals here.
Okay.
Um, it's been a while. I have to admit, it's been a while since I have gone back and listened to some of the previous live albums. I have all of them. But one of the reasons why I oftentimes don't go to Dream Theater live recordings is because of James. And I actually I'm a big James fan. So but here's my thing with James. It's not necessarily the tonality of his voice or his range or whatever. It's sometimes in live performances, he would hit a note and then he would kind of like, you know,
Oh yeah, the squeak.
verify to vary the melody a little bit. And sometimes he wouldn't land in a place that felt comfortable for me listening to the melody. And on this, it's almost like you went in and said, okay, I'm not 25 years old anymore. My instrument has changed a bit, and I need to go in and think through these melodies a little more methodically and adjust the way I approach just some of these melodies so that I'm not searching and fighting some of those notes. And honestly, just my take, I think this is one of James's best live recordings. Maybe with the exception of the earliest live stuff. So that's just my thought on it. What's your take on it?
I agree. And to go back to when we saw them for the Images and Words and Beyond tour, he did a lot of variation on the vocal melodies. And as a side note, Images and Words to me, it's not one of my favorite albums. I like it quite a bit. I like almost all their albums except for The Astonishing and Black Cloud, sort of. And I sorry, lost my train of thought. Uh
James's
Train of
voice.
thought. That's another great album.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Um, so going into that, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go because you were available. We drove down there together, about an hour and a half from where I live, 4 hours from where you live. And I'm just like, this will just be fun. It'll be fun seeing it with Brian, kind of low stakes because I don't really have to wonder about the set list. Are they going to play this or that? But it was weird hearing him do all the vocal variations. But almost immediately I was like, but you know what? I'm just in this because it's like, okay, cool. They're playing some songs. Yeah, change it, do whatever. It's getting harder because at that point, he's in his 50s. And I still think that might be one of my favorite shows of theirs because it was so low stakes. Remember, they didn't even have like a big light show. Their screen was behind them was a little bit more basic. James told stories in between songs. Some
Mhm.
of them weren't even like funny necessarily. It was just sort of like, huh, that is an interesting story, like with a weird little twist, like Kevin Moore getting a speeding ticket in Montana. I think that's the one he told at our show. The point being, that was kind of the beginning of him doing the variations. And then when I got the official bootleg, Lost Not Forgotten, I kind of forgot what variations he did. And that was such a fun listening experience. So with this album, I had that same experience where I hear him vary what he's doing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, after listening to them now for 25 years, I am hearing an old song in a new way, and it sounds good. And I'm
Yeah,
not hearing the soaring, hitting the F sharp type of stuff, but it's very pleasing, and it made it more enjoyable and exciting for me.
yeah. I think I think from my angle, a lot of the previous live stuff, sometimes it would sound like he's searching in the moment for where he needs to go, whereas on this, it sounded like he knew exactly where he needed to take his voice.
Yeah.
And I just, I just thought it was really good. So overall, from a vocal standpoint, I think this is like the one of the Dream Theater live albums that would be a go-to album for me. So, um, yeah, let's see here. Gosh, the whole band is tight. Oh, another thing I wanted to say about the sound is just to me, the sound of the mix on the whole just sounds very ambient. It's almost like you can hear the hall. And I think a lot of times with live albums these days, things sound too tight and constricted, whereas this sounds big to me. It's almost like not just the band, but you hear almost like the reverberation of the arena, and I really like that. So, God, now I think I might have to put this on and watch this afternoon.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I don't know. Overall, how would you not that we're ranking this necessarily, but would you put this kind of up near the top of Dream Theater live albums in the middle? What?
It's hard for me to say because I don't really look at it as sort of, quality of the performance or I don't look at it as kind of the same way you do with like the sound. I'm looking at it more for, yeah, I really like the vocals. I do agree it's one of his better vocal performances. I don't like the set list too much. And I don't like some of the variations. We're talking about James's variations.
Mhm.
Okay. I like those. You know what I didn't like is Hollow Year's demo version variation. I don't want to hear the demo version. I want the album version. The album version is better than the demo version. And the same thing goes for Take Away My Pain. The album version, which Mike Portnoy has said, oh, it's like on a ride in Disneyland or whatever. Oh, I hate it. And so they would always play, I call it the Kenny G version with the alto sax and whatever. And I just think that's a much weaker version. But with the Hollow Years, I don't think the added, what's that called, bridge or
Mhm.
whatever, I don't think that adds anything.
I tend to agree, and I also think the kind of the pre-chorus, I think, if I'm thinking of it correctly, has an extra couple like measures in it that the studio version cut out. And I agree. I think the studio version is actually more direct and as a result has more impact as a song. It's kind of funny though. So I agree with you partially about that. Like I just prefer that they play the album version if they're going to play that song. And I like that song. I do think that Jordan's kind of piano stuff at the end um, is pretty good. I do like that. Um,
Yeah, I always think is that kind of in a I'm trying to think of what that was because I've only listened to that one a handful of times. Did they do kind of is that on kind of like the outro thing for
yeah, they're just kind of they're just extending the end of it, which is not that's not really about the demo version versus the studio version. That's
yeah,
they're just extending the end, and he's just playing.
I
Uh,
do like that.
you
Yeah,
know,
kind of like when they do that for oh, what's the last song when Scenes from a Memory? They always kind of extend that and
yeah,
yeah.
I regret I didn't put. Oh man, I should have written it down. I don't think I had my notes with me when I was listening to one of the songs. I think it's in the first set. They do that where they throw in this kind of like jokey kind of ooh ha ha aren't we funny? There's this little like they'll throw in a measure of like funny music to show
Wait,
how
are you talking about Under a Glass Moon with the circus
uh,
music?
it is under it is, yes it is in Under a Glass Moon. It's in the second set, yeah, where they throw that they throw that kind of circus music kind of thing in there, and it's like that totally just breaks the feel of that song. It's like
Yeah,
where that why? I
yeah.
don't like it when they do that. That's where I'm
Well,
just like, guys, just don't.
they
Don't do
did
it.
that. God, when did they do that? On Score, I think. Also,
They've done it in different things, and it's
it's like,
like,
oh my God. The first time I ever saw Dream Theater, long story I won't get into, but I literally just had some friends that were into Dream Theater, and they're like, we're going to the show, and I was like, and they're like, you want to go? And I'm like, I've never listened to them, but sure, I'll just buy a ticket and just go. It was on the Scenes from Memory tour. And I remember they played A Change of Seasons, and they added the Simpsons theme and that baseball thing, bump, 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 bump,
yeah,
bump, bump, and one other thing. And I just remember thinking, it's like, this song is about a serious subject. Like, I'm surprised that, and Mike was probably the guy behind it because he's always the one that's sort of like, wouldn't that be funny if we played the Simpsons theme? And it's just like, dude, Mike, this is a very emotional, cool song about something tragic that happened. I'm surprised you would want to do that.
right. That's
Um,
it. Just doesn't. I don't know. That type of
yeah,
thing, I think, is a distraction. I don't think it
oh
adds
yeah.
anything.
Now, yeah, okay, I will say this. I've criticized Mike a fair bit in this one. I would like to say something good about Constant Motion again that I almost forgot to mention. I feel so. I feel that his backing vocals in that are the best I've heard because I have at least two or three live versions because they did a couple iTunes exclusive versions which I can't listen to because I can't figure out my iTunes login and it's weird even though I own the MP3 it won't let me play it on anyway whatever. So I remember because he sings through the whole thing. And in the past, in 2007, 2008, he would he almost kind of sounded like out of breath or he couldn't control, he'd be like, controlling my thoughts, such as in me. And it kind of clashed with James's vocals when James and the rest of Dream Theater pulled that out when Portnoy wasn't in the band, they didn't really do most of the backing vocals, and I actually liked it quite a bit with just James. So I was a little bit trepidatious about how they would perform it again with Mike in the band doing those backing vocals. But he did a much better job. Like he almost had more control
Uh-huh.
with the, out of body, out of
Yeah.
mind. That was another thing where he'd be like, out of body, out of mind. Like, not, it wasn't that bad, but it was like he was not controlling the his voice as it came out. So and this time it was very controlled. It was almost like on the album, out of body, out of mind. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So my preferred version would probably be from I can't remember if it was on a live album or a Lost Not Forgotten one. I do like it quite a bit with only James. But this one is much better than any other version other than that one with Mike on vocals. So
Like,
pro-
and I'm I don't hate the song, like I said, but I do agree that I think his vocals are actually really good on it, and not just on that. I think he actually sounds pretty good on the Mirror, which
oh yeah.
a lot of times when Mike does kind of like the Cookie Monster stuff, it's kind of I think it has a little Velveeta, it's a little cheese, but I think he actually sounds pretty darn cool on the Mirror. I think it works really well on this. I think it's a great version of the Mirror. And
And that's
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's another one where he just when he would say hypocrite or whatever, it really just didn't gel with the band in previous performances, but on this
This
one,
one, yeah,
he
it's
did do a lot
it's
better.
really, yeah, it kind of surprised me because I was watching and I was like, dang, this sounds really,
And
yeah.
side note, the when I saw them a couple months ago, they played Take the Time. There's another one where he would do just let me catch my breath.
Hmm.
And in past shows, he would sound so winded. Would he be doing, I've heard the promise, I've seen like a mistake. Like, and I'm just like, just do the pre-recording or whatever, or let James do it, even though I do think this time he said, just let James catch his breath was kind of funny.
That's yeah, that's kind
Um, but at that concert, he did a much better job of doing those vocals. And I was like, oh, okay, you got it in you, Mike. I don't know why now that you're older, you're doing better at that. So
Well, yeah, I don't know. Don't know what the secret sauce is, but he apparently has it. I'll tell you what, I think one of the kind of unsung heroes of this set list, though, of this recording, this new live album, is Vacant. I think that I think the version of that is was really good. And when I saw that they played it, it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. But once they started in on it, it was like, okay, yeah, that really, really worked for me. Go,
I
especially
need to go back and listen to it. I'll be honest, I've listened to it in its entirety probably once, and I really
Mhm.
didn't pay attention. I always skip that song. I
uh,
tend to like Labree's lyrics, probably best out of any of them. But this one I just never really got
yeah.
into.
Well, give it another whirl. I th you know,
Yeah.
I just thought it was a really, really good arrangement of it. So,
So,
um,
side note, how do you feel
yeah,
about Disappear? I know it's not in the thing here, but speaking of Labrie lyrics and that kind of vein,
I,
how do you
yeah,
feel about
I'm a fan. Oh yeah.
because Mike had originally said he's like it's his grand scheme. Well, wouldn't that be cool if we only ever played that once? The mysterious song that Dream Theater only ever played once, and then they ended up playing it a second time. Um, so I wonder if now that he's kind of mellowed out, he'll just be like, "Yeah, we'll throw it in the set next tour because
That,
it's, you know,
that's my hope is that some of these albums that were not represented here on this tour get, a bit of a spotlight on the next one. So, yeah, at any rate, yeah.
I'm curious about your thought on Octavarium though.
Um, so Octavarium uh as an album tends to be one of the higher ranked albums for me. Although I haven't applied my secret system. Well, it's not really secret, but um I really like the album Octavarium. I love parts of the song Octavarium. I think some of it is some of the just the most amazing stuff. I love how atmospheric it starts. It doesn't bother me at all that they played it on this set list. Um, there are a few moments in the song that I don't like as much as some of the rest of it, but when you're doing a 20-minute long, track, that's likely to happen. Um, it's God, I don't know.
When
I
Octavarium the
well,
album,
let me put it this way. I think if I'm forced, I would say I would prefer a change of seasons,
yeah,
but only by a hair. I mean, I think they're both really strong. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I think it's just so fragmented how each one is a different story about coming full circle. And I mean, I do like the first 10 minutes of it or whatever, Petrucci's lyrics about, a guy my interpretation was this kid that's just like, I'm never gonna be like my dad. And then he realizes like, oh, my dad had it figured out. He enjoyed the comfort rather than the chaos, or something. That was my interpretation. And then James lyrics about from the movie Awakening, which I love that movie. I do love that part, although it is kind of weird that it's just like, and here's another thing about this comes full circle. And then when it gets into Portnoy's, it might sound like I've been picking on him, so I'm glad I got to compliment some of his stuff. But his full circle lyrics, man, Jack the Ripper,
That
Owens, Wilson, like
okay.
they
So
mentioned the replacement vocalist for Judas Priest in one of their big epics, and it's sort of like,
so that okay. That's the part that I would have excised.
yeah,
I
Gabba, Gabba, hey, hey, and I'm like, I don't want to hear them say Gabba I don't want Dream Theater ever to say
I
Gabba.
that's the thing is I think you and I are actually of like mind on this. I think the first 10 minutes of that song is arguably some of the best stuff they've ever done. I think Jordan's opening with that on the can't remember the name of that instrument. Um, and
The
then
Continuum.
the continuum, yeah. And and then onto the the steel. It's just beautiful, and it's so atmospheric that I kind of tend to overlook the little part that I don't like. But I agree with you that that part I'm not a fan of. So I just kind of say, well, it's part of a bigger whole. Um, it's got some elements that I'm not as big on, but parts of it I just absolutely love. So, you know, but
I'm a little
I'm not gonna I try to avoid nitpicking the song Octavarium too much. But
I'm
I
a
see
little
exactly why.
lukewarm.
But see, I try to avoid nitpicking it because I could so easily.
Yeah.
So
I am a little lukewarm on the continuum because it kind of feels like with Jordan, where he's like, "Oh, I got a new gadget. I can use my new gadget on this album."
well, he is
And
definitely gadget oriented.
and then on Rite of Passage, which we've said like we love Rite of Passage,
Yeah,
um, where he's like, "Oh, did you know you can do a solo on an iPhone?" And it was literally, and you and I, one of the things we bonded over when we first met is we both still had flip phones when
that's
everybody else
right.
was
As a
getting
matter of fact, I was
smartphones.
thinking of that earlier today. Yeah.
And so this was, so if that was 2008-ish that they recorded A Rite of Passage, and we met like maybe 2013 or 14, and I can't remember. Jordan was not only had an iPhone, but he was recording albums with an iPhone while we were still using flip phones.
Well, yeah, to be fair, the app that he helped develop, which the name escapes me, what the Geo Shredder.
Oh,
We actually used the Geo Shredder on a recording.
oh wow.
It's not out yet, but it's fully mixed, so we're just waiting to get all the other stuff taken care of, and then we'll put it out. But yeah, so Jordan Rudess's Geo Shredder, we used it. Yeah, yeah, but
Okay.
not in the way you might expect. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it might be kind of fun. Well, I'll give you the recording and say see if you can tell where the Geo
Okay.
Shredder is in it. So, but anyway, yeah. I mean, just overall, what would you say? Thumbs up? How many
Oh
stars,
yeah, yeah.
etc. What would you?
Thumbs up. And one last thing we didn't talk about was
Mhm.
the Night Terror.
Oh yeah.
I just want to say for the record, first of all, I don't really care for it on this album or any other time I've heard it, except for when I heard it live on the last tour.
Hmm.
That was another reason why I waited until a couple days before the show to buy tickets was I didn't want to spend outrageous sums. And then I told you this, but if anybody's listening to this, I had third row all to myself, third row stage right, all to myself, because they couldn't sell third. And it's kind of sad. I mean, it was a secondary market on a Monday night. But so I was just like, all right, I'll just suffer through the Parasomnia, which I think is one of my three least favorite albums, with the exception of what's the last two songs? Uh,
Just bend the clock, and then
Bend the Clock, which I think is one of Dream Theater's best songs in history. So I'm like, all right, I'll suffer through the first part of the album so I can hear Bend the Clock. What I didn't expect was I actually quite enjoyed the album in a live setting. I was like, okay, this is like I'm enjoying this. Maybe it's because my expectations were so low, or maybe it just translates better live. So Night Terror on this recording still didn't really get me. Um, but hearing it live, it does come across a lot better, as do the rest of the songs on that album. So take that for what it's worth. And if you're like me and didn't care for the latest album that much, see it live.
yeah, I enjoyed the album quite a lot. But they came through Central Iowa for the first time ever, and they played uh basically a western suburb of Des Moines, Waukee, and I couldn't go because I was in Chicago to see Bruce Dickinson. So, like, otherwise I would have been there, but you know, a chance to see Bruce Dickinson solo, I had to do that. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, this has been a long and winding discussion, but this is what happens when I get Travis in here because we just meander. But that's the thing, If you were looking for a 5 minute, 10 minute review. That's not what this was. This was just a couple of friends that are big Dream Theater fans having a long conversation about, what we thought of it. And I agree with you though. I think it's a good live album. I think it's really, really solid. I think it's one of the best sounding live albums once I figured out which system I needed to listen to it on. Um, I don't know. Do you got any last thoughts before we close it out?
I don't think I do.
You don't think you do. Uh,
No, that was my last thought was about Night Terror.
Excellent. Well, I hope you don't have any night terrors tonight. I'll try to
I
avoid.
never remember my dreams.
That's, I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
maybe it is because like the two that I remember were messed up.
Wow. Okay.
It,
Well, I
one
used,
involved mannequins haunting me, and one involved zombies. And I can both directly related to the fact that what's the name of that movie where the mannequins come to life? Is old uh Tourist Trap. And then the other one, it could be any number of zombie movies. Those are the only two dreams I've remembered.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I have no idea what to tell you. But if you're still watching this, you're a Dream Theater fan and have some insight into dreams themselves. Maybe you can post something, help Travis figure out why he can't remember most of his dreams or why he dreams of mannequins and zombies. At any rate, I'm going to put a link down below for Underlords of the Overworld at Bandcamp if you're interested in checking out our stuff. It's nothing like Dream Theater, so please don't compare it. But if you're a Dream Theater
Yes,
fan,
it is because it's got Derek Sherinian on some of the stuff.
okay, well, okay, that is true. We actually did have Derek Sherinian play on a couple songs once, which was very, very cool. But yeah, but if you're still with us, thanks for checking it out. Comment, like, subscribe, do all that jazz, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, until next time, I guess we're done. Is that right?
Yes, we're
Okay.
done.
Take care.